Well, this topic's controversial, isn't it?
Well, I think it's fun to make things controversial.
So my team meetings are shit. And I think there's so much to talk about here because I think you've been down that path, I've been down that path, and you've absolutely nailed it. And I think there's so much to learn on this topic.
Let's actually see if this episode needs to be split over two episodes so it's not too long. Because I think, uh, yeah, your team meetings are everything in business, and there's so many moving parts, isn't there?
Definitely. And the learnings you have along the way, and, depending on how long you've been in business, how you did it maybe when you started, maybe you didn't do them at all, and then how you change it up, or maybe you started to do them and how you do them today. I think it's a constant tweaking that needs to happen. It's a constant evolution. It needs to be changed. Like it needs to move with the times.
Absolutely. And I think if we could just dive straight into it, if that's okay, I think that with what you just said about it needs to move with the times, it isn't just about performance and making sure that the business runs smoothly. Teams want more than that these days.
Oh, they so do.
They want to connect. They want a work environment that supports the culture. They want more than just the garden variety team meeting where we show up, we talk about housekeeping. I think we've got a guest coming over here to visit your dog. Your dog Ralph has just come in from outside to say hello.
Oh, hello, Ralph.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see Ralph.
Ralph Lauren is a devil, isn't he?
He's a devil.
He's very much a devil.
Lucky he's cute.
Yes.
Much like Meg. Anyway.
Puppies, eh?
Apart from that interruption. So I think team meetings are so much more than just one of those things that you have to have. It's about connecting people and it's about inspiring people to be the best version of themselves. And if you're not giving your team that opportunity, or you're just going through the motions in a team meeting and saying, oh, there was too many towels in the dryer, and make sure you put the heating on 23, not 24.
And things need to be put out, and it's just housekeeping stuff.
So I suppose bigger picture, what's a team meeting for? I think let's even just start with the bigger picture and work down to the detail of why do we actually need to have them in the first place?
Yeah, definitely. Well, for me, it's connecting the team, but also it's about getting them to understand where we're going as a business, like where we're moving to, and getting them to understand things that we need to do for the next quarter, the next month, the next week. And I think that depends on how often your meetings are, and we'll get down to the nitty-gritties of it, but definitely big picture, where the business is going.
So it's an opportunity for you to put all your people in the same room at the same time, and we probably need to address what happens if you can't swing that for whatever reason, because that's really common.
And multiple locations.
100%. But it's like that analogy that I flog all the time, isn't it? That you can imagine a business owner being in a boat at the front of the boat with their oars in the water, and they're rowing like crazy. And when they peer over their shoulder to have a look at what their team are doing, they don't have an oar, and they're staring at the stars. They're looking up at the sky thinking, I wonder where we're going. Whereas when you have a really good team meeting rhythm, as you said, it's about setting that vision and enrolling your team to get them on board. It effectively gives them an oar, a sense of direction, and then they can do it with you 100%. But in order to have your team enrolled and on board and a part of that vision, you need a vision in the first place. So I think that could be missing for you. You could be listening to this thinking, well, I don't know where I'm heading. So in that case, that's something that you need to address, so that if you're not creating that vision for your team and creating a path for them, they're going to create it for themselves. And often it's not in the direction that you want them to go, or it may not even be in your salon, because you need to be inspiring the future for your team.
Yeah, that's it. And even like when we do our planning events, and we do our events with leaders of the business and the business owner, often it's something that they've never ever had. So to even start there, to think that we would, as a business, we run events to help them with that grand vision, that where they're going. And then from there, they can deliver that in their team meetings. They don't even know where to start. So that's one of the things, I suppose, generally as an overhaul, we help salon owners with is having that, the guiding principles of this is why we get up every day, this is why we do what we do, and making sure that we have personal and business, and that we have that with our team as well. So like team meetings aren't just about, like you said, like the basic stuff that annoy us. It's about making sure we keep to that big picture. And that one of the things you mentioned just before is team want to be inspired. Well, absolutely. They want to work for a business and with a business owner that has inspiration to help them grow. Yeah.
So I think with that vision piece, it's having a set time. Let's say it's monthly. Monthly team meetings are great. Every single month, it's an opportunity for you to check in with the team and to see what progress you have made in the past month. What were the objectives you spoke about in the last meeting, about your big picture, about your vision, your goals, where you're heading? What's the progress been? And are there any adjustments we need to make to continue on course with that vision for the next month? So I think that's one important thing, setting your vision, but always looking back 4 weeks since the last meeting, recapping on, well, what were we focusing on? How did we go with that? And before you move on to that next thing, is make sure that you're not moving on too fast with what you set in the last meeting, because there's no point creating a new focus if you haven't completed the objectives that you assigned in the previous meeting. True?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And when you talk about like doing it monthly, is how often should it be? Should it be monthly? Like I know I used to do mine when I thought we needed a meeting. And then when I worked out a really good flow, we used to do ours every Saturday.
Yeah.
And, I had pullback like to start with. And then if we didn't have one, they'd say, why aren't we having it? So I think it needs to work for you, your business, the complexities of it, the size of it, multiple locations. So monthly, I think, would be an absolute maximum.
Minimum.
A minimum, sorry. And then
absolutely.
More often, as in doing them weekly, to be, I think there's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong, but yeah, as you said, minimum monthly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's 12 a year. So don't cancel the ones at Christmas. Don't cancel them in January. Like they need to happen regardless the size of your business. It's 12 meetings to connect a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing while we're on that topic is there's always going to be someone sick. There's always going to be someone on annual leave. Okay.
Even you.
You're not going to be there. Like if you were to have 12 meetings a year or 24 meetings a year, there is a chance you're not going to be there for one of them.
Of course, yeah.
Okay? And I know that happens with our team. Either I'm out one week, you're out the next week, or if you and I are traveling together for an event or a keynote or whatever, our team run the meeting with the same agenda.
Yeah, and that's right. And I think agendas are really, you don't have to be exactly stick to the plan, but have some form of an agenda that you've got like a mold that if like you and I are away, the team can still run the meeting and they know what the next topic is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, does it run better if we're in the meeting or as a salon owner in the meeting? 100%. Like everything, when with you as a business owner being in the business, they say 20% more if you're got a show of your face there, whether you're on the floor or not. It's that, showing your face or being a part of something shows you the visionary of the business as well. So I think that is important regardless, but you've got to have a holiday.
Absolutely.
Well.
100%.
Time down. It's important to show that as a leader, and it's important to show that's what you encourage in your business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think regardless of how often you're having a meeting, you need to create a rhythm. Okay? And it's actually one thing that one of our coaches said, which I thought was absolute gold. It was quite a while ago. What did Jen say? Your meeting should be like chapters of a book.
Just folding that page.
Yeah, it's from one chapter to the next. and it flows and it creates a larger storyline. And if you keep on changing the agenda, you change the outcomes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think if our listeners have one takeaway from today, it's that if you change the agenda, you change the outcomes.
Yeah.
So you need to be consistent with your agenda.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's cover some of the things that we would talk about, like as an agenda, to give someone listening some of the things that they could put together. You could add to this, but I think what would be the starting point, like a basic fundamental? We're going to talk big picture.
Before we even get into that, it would be the very first thing would be to open strong and with a positive. You've got to set the tone for the rest of the meeting. So what I would be doing at the very first agenda point, look at me, I'm sounding very entrepreneurial. It would be praise. So whether it was that as a team, you hit like a certain KPI, it might be that you looked after 400 clients last month as a total, and we usually do 360. So well done, team. Or whether it's just pointing out two team members that have done something exceptionally well in that meeting period. So for an example, it could be something like Mary grew her rebooking from 60% to 75%. And, one, it's an opportunity to praise progress and results. But for Mary to be celebrated in front of her peers, it should create an element of FOMO, because if there's someone that's a bit of a stick in the mud and they're still stuck at 60, then they're fishing from the same pool. It's putting a spotlight on the fact that Mary's done it. You can too. So what was the question? What did you ask me?
I asked you about
an agenda.
Meeting, like agenda, yeah. and adding to that, you're right, this will go over two episodes. So when you think about when you praise someone, what do you give them, Jay? Like if you think about, will they want money? Will they want this? Like I learned that quite early in business. It's not always about the money. I think there's little gifts, there's small things that you can it's actually more about shining a light on someone.
Yep.
And I think something also that for me, what I learned is a long time ago is to really not hone in just on someone that's there full time that makes the most money, that did the best things.
100%.
Because it could be, I used to have a little Jojo that would hold the door open, and then I would have the front of the house team member that would do some amazing things for clients. And I think it doesn't need to be just praising someone that made the most money in the business.
Well, that creates a toxic environment, because what we ultimately know that makes up an amazing team member is, number one, they're a high performer. They bring in good money and their KPIs are good. The other one is that they've got aligned values, okay, so that they're on the same page. They live and breathe your vision and they're supportive of those values. And thirdly, culture. So they add value to the culture and keep the team connected and communicating and positive. They add to the culture. So when you look at those three elements of KPIs and numbers, so performance, bring in money, alignment in values and alignment in culture, you can celebrate any of those things. 100%. And again, we're still on agenda item number one, is that if you can think about the last month, what can you pinpoint that happened in the salon that contributed to the culture, kept the values aligned, or someone did something great with their performance or their KPIs, and keeps it balanced. It's not just about celebrating so-and-so because she was she bought in $10,000 or hit her target 3 out of 4 weeks, because it just makes it too much about money. And we know how our team feel about that.
Yeah, and it's, even if whether you want to or need to, or you feel like you want to incentivize them with something for doing it. I used to collect small gifts, and it doesn't matter what it is, but I think at the end of the day, everyone loves a block of chocolate. So buy a few of them when they're on sale, wrap them up and reward someone. It's not even the gift that you give them. It's actually about putting someone on a pedestal, isn't it? So you don't need to give them hundreds of dollars for this effort. It's just praise.
Well,
Pure praise.
think about the five love languages.
Mm.
I'm probably not going to be able to remember all five, but it's about what motivates someone, what makes someone tick, and gifts is one of them. So the giving and receiving of gifts, but also acts of service, doing something for someone. So, say for an example, it might be if you've got a hairdressing salon. It might be Marie, you did something really great in the last month. It was when you had downtime, you